Look at you. You cannot feed yourself, yet you are performing charity for a roadside beggar. Poverty has damaged your brain.
Behind Sad, two guards dragged the ragged man from the charity gala entrance. His knees scraped the concrete. Nobody moved. Said bent and gathered the money. 3,850 naira. Every naira she had left for transport, food, and electricity. Her hands shook, but she placed it inside the beggar Elo's palm. "Please buy food, sir." Ronki Alo's smile vanished. "Search her bag." Before Sad could turn, a guard pulled out a sealed donation envelope she had never seen. "Thief!" Ronki shouted, loud enough for every phone camera to capture it. But the ragged man lifted his head. The way he looked at Ronki made her step back. Do not miss what happened when that beggar returned. Comment your city and local time below, and subscribe now, because this humiliation was only the beginning. 6 hours earlier, at exactly 1:17 that afternoon, Said Coker stood beneath the rattling ceiling fan of a laundry warehouse in Yaba and listened to her supervisor explain why her salary would not enter her account again. The warehouse smelled of hot steam, detergent, and damp cotton. White hotel bedsheets moved through the industrial press in long, hissing lines. Workers in faded aprons pushed trolleys across the concrete floor, while the generator coughed behind the building. Said held a small notebook against her chest. "Sir, you said the balance would be paid on Monday." The supervisor did not look up from his phone. "I said we would try. Today is Thursday. And is Thursday no longer inside the week?" A few workers heard him and lowered their eyes. Nobody wanted trouble. Not when 3 people had been dismissed the previous month for asking about overtime. Sadie breathed in slowly. "I worked 26 days. You paid for 19. The remaining amount is not a favor. It is my wage." Now he looked at her. His face tightened. "You people like speaking grammar when money is involved. There is an inventory shortage. Until the client completes reconciliation, nobody will collect balance. The shortage happened before my shift. Are you the auditor?" "No, sir." "Then carry your orange blouse and return to work before I remove your name from next week, Elo's roster." That was how poverty trained people to swallow hot words without water. Said turned away. She did not cry. She had cried enough in private to know that tears did not persuade payroll officers. She walked back to the folding table, arranged 12 chef jackets by size, and wrote the quantities in her notebook. 36 small, 43 medium, 29 large. One jacket had a torn cuff. She separated it. Numbers behaved better than people. A figure could be wrong, but it could not insult you for asking why. At 2:05 p.m., her phone vibrated inside her canvas bag. It was a reminder she had set 3 days earlier. Lecky Crown collect old wage, submit allocation, deliver copies. She stared at the words, her stomach tightened. 2 years earlier, before the laundry warehouse, Sade had worked for 5 months as a temporary inventory clerk under a food distribution program called Dignity Basket Initiative. The program belonged to Balagan Foods and Retail Group, one of the largest retail and food processing companies in West Africa. Their billboards were everywhere. A smiling woman holding a carton of rice. A man in a clean suit shaking hands with market traders, a slogan in gold letters. Food with dignity. The public saw smiling photographs. Sade had seen missing goods. She had seen a truck manifest listing 713 relief packs, while only 491 arrived at a community center in Mushin. She had seen bags marked "Not for Rezal" carried into a commercial storage bay at night. She had seen signatures repeated so perfectly across 20 different forms that even a blind man would have asked questions. When she raised the issue, her contract ended within 72 hours. No query, no hearing, just one message. Your services are no longer required. She had kept copies, not because she was brave then. She was not. She had kept them because the figures disturbed her sleep. 11,407 units could not disappear like smoke. Somebody had eaten the money, not the food, the money. At 2:20 p.m., Sadie removed her apron and went to the restroom. She washed her face, retied her pale turquoise scarf, and changed into the burnt orange blouse she kept folded inside her bag for interviews. The blouse was old, but it was clean. She checked her purse. 3,850 naira. That was all. She had already paid part of her rent. The electricity contribution was due that night. Her transport from Yaba to Lekki and back would take more than half the money if traffic became wicked. She had 1 cup of gari at home, half an onion, and 2 seasoning cubes. She counted the notes twice. Then she placed the copies of the delivery documents inside a brown envelope and slid it between 2 pages of her course manual. Her evening accounting class started at 7:30. If she moved fast, she could do everything. Lagos laughed at people who made careful plans. By 3:11 p.m., rain had started over the mainland. It fell hard, then stopped without apology. The bus to Oberlende crawled through traffic while the conductor shouted at passengers to shift as if human bones could fold like umbrellas. "Sister, move inside." "There is no inside again," Saad replied. "Madam, this is Lagos. Create inside." She almost smiled. Almost. Across the city, in a quiet office 42 floors above Victoria Island, Niyi Balagun closed a file and looked through the glass wall at the lagoon. At 58, Niyi had built a fortune people, described with words too large to imagine. His group owned food factories, cold storage depots, supermarket chains, agricultural investments, and logistics companies across 7 countries. Business magazines called him one of Africa Alo's wealthiest self-made industrialists. People often spoke of his wealth as if it had arrived before him. It had not. He remembered counting coins in his mother Alo's kiosk. He remembered carrying cartons before sunrise. He remembered hunger that made the smell of fried akara feel like punishment. That memory was one reason he had created Dignity Basket. At least, that was what he told himself. The file on his desk suggested the program had become something else. The first report had arrived anonymously 9 days earlier. It contained a list of irregular deliveries, altered waybills, duplicate beneficiary signatures, and photographs of relief goods inside a commercial warehouse. The final page carried one sentence. "Sir, poor people are being used to decorate reports, while food meant for them is all sold back to them." Niyi had read it 4 times. Then he had called Ronke Daniels. Ronke was the Group Alo's chief operations director and the executive face of Dignity Basket. She was intelligent, polished, and frighteningly efficient. She could reduce a 3-hour board meeting to 19 minutes. She remembered investor names, donation figures, and camera angles. She also knew how to make every success look like her personal miracle. When Niyi asked for raw distribution data, Ronke sent glossy summaries. When he asked about beneficiary complaints, she sent edited videos. When he asked why 3 warehouse clerks had resigned within 6 months, she said, "Junior employees always leave when they find better opportunities, sir." The answer was smooth, too smooth. Niyi looked at Musa Okoro, his head of private security, who stood near the door in a charcoal suit. "You checked the anonymous sender?" Niyi asked. "As far as we could without exposing the investigation. The documents came through a public terminal. No direct identity. But some of the scanned pages carry old internal codes." "Meaning?" "Whoever copied them had access at some point." Niyi tapped the file. Ronk is hosting the Lecky Crown charity launch today. Yes, sir. Investors will be there. More than 60 confirmed guests. And people who are actually hungry. Musa paused. The public distribution is outside the rear service area. The media event is at the front. Nialo's eyes narrowed. 2 entrances for 1 charity. Yes, sir. 1 for cameras, 1 for hunger. Musa said nothing. Ni stood. I am going there. I can arrange an unannounced visit. No convoy. Sir, no car at the entrance. No Chairman Alo's badge. No warning. Musa understood before Ni finished. His jaw tightened. With respect, sir, I do not advise you to enter a crowded public area in disguise. You will remain close. That does not remove the risk. I am not asking the report to tell me how people are treated. I want to see it. Musa folded his hands behind his back. Then we set limits. 1 afternoon. Tracking device. Open communication. If there is serious danger, I intervene whether you like it or not. Ni gave him a dry look. You have become very bold. You pay me to prevent your stubbornness from becoming a national announcement. For the first time that day, Ni smiled. Fine. By 4:28 p.m. Ni Balagan had become a man most people would not look at twice. His grey-brown kaftan had been stained at the hem. His black trousers were worn at the knee. A makeup artist had darkened the skin beneath his eyes and roughened his beard line. His leather slippers had been replaced with cheap rubber ones. But the hardest thing to disguise was not his face. It was authority. Men who had given orders for 30 years did not suddenly learn how to enter a room asking permission from the air. Musa noticed it immediately. No. You are still walking like the building belongs to you, he said through the small earpiece. It does. That is exactly the problem. Ni slowed his steps. He left the car 2 streets away and approached Lecky Crown on foot. The supermarket Alo's glass frontage shone beneath white lights. A cream carpet stretched toward the main entrance. Tall flower stands carried imported lilies. A gold backdrop displayed the words, National Dignity Week. Women in fitted dresses posed beside relief cartons they would never carry. Men in tailored suits laughed over drinks. A camera operator moved backward, while Ronka Daniels walked forward in a ruby-red trouser suit, speaking about compassion. We believe no Nigerian should be denied food because of temporary hardship, she said to the lens. Dignity is not charity, it is a right. Ni stopped behind a decorative barrier. For 1 second, even he almost believed her. Then he saw the rear corner. 7 people stood beneath a small canopy near the service road. They were being made to wait behind metal rails. A security guard shouted at an elderly man for leaning against the barrier. Another worker arranged only 12 relief boxes near the crowd, though the event brochure claimed 250 families would receive support that evening. Ni moved toward the canopy. A guard blocked him. Where are you going? To collect food. Registration closed. The banner says distribution continues until 6. The guard looked at his clothes. Do you read banner now? Go. I have not eaten since morning. That one is your family problem. Ni Al's fingers curled. Musa Al's voice entered his ear. Easy, sir. Ni stepped aside. Then he tried the front entrance. The same guard followed him quickly. Are you mad? You want to enter there? I want to speak to whoever is in charge. The guard laughed. See this one. You think because air conditioning is free, everybody can enter? This is a corporate event, not underbridge meeting. 2 guests turned to look. One raised her phone. The guard pushed Niyelo's shoulder. Move. Ni held his ground. That was when Sede arrived. Her bus had stopped near Admiralty Way, and she had walked the final distance to save transport money. Sweat had gathered beneath her scarf. Her orange blouse clung lightly to her back. The canvas bag on her shoulder felt heavier with every step. She saw the push before she saw the man Aloe's face. "Why are you pushing him?" she asked. The guard turned. "Madam, mind your business." "He is an old man," I said. "Move." He asked a question. "Answer him." The second guard came closer. "Are you with him?" Sade looked at Niyi. His clothes were dirty. His face looked tired. His left hand trembled slightly. "No," she said. "But must I know him before you treat him like a human being?" The first guard sucked his teeth. "Poor people are becoming too bold in this Lagos." Ronki heard the raised voices. She stopped speaking to the camera and looked toward the entrance. Her smile disappeared. "Bode?" she called. A broad man in a dark navy suit approached from inside. His red tie sat tightly against his neck. He was Bode Adebayo, the regional security manager. He looked at Niyi, then at Sade. "What is happening here?" "This man is disturbing guests," the guard said. "And this woman is supporting him." Sade raised her chin. "He asked for food at a food charity event." Bodilo's expression hardened. "The distribution area is behind the building. They sent him away from there." "Madam, do you work here?" "I came to submit an application and collect unpaid wages from a contractor." Ronke had walked closer now. The ruby-red fabric of her suit caught the camera lights. Gold earrings brushed her neck. Her perfume reached Sade before her words did. "An application?" Ronke asked. "Yes, ma." "For what role?" "Assistant Warehouse Reconciliation Officer." Ronke looked at Sade Aloe's worn shoes, then at the canvas bag. Her mouth curved. "You came dressed like this to apply for a warehouse finance role?" "My clothes are clean, ma." "Clean. Poverty is still poverty." A few guests laughed. Sade felt heat rise into her face. Ronke pointed at Niyi without looking at him. "And now you are creating drama with this roadside decoration. Did both of you plan this because you saw cameras?" "No, ma." Then carry your moral performance away from my entrance." Niyi watched her closely. "My entrance," she had said. "Not the company Aloes, not the program Aloes, mine." Sade turned to him. "Sir, have you eaten at all?" Niyi hesitated. "No." She looked toward the rear canopy. The few boxes there were already being packed away. One worker pulled down the registration sign, even though it was only 5:34. Sade opened her purse. 3,850 naira. Her electricity contribution was 2,000. Transport home could take 1,200. That would leave 650. Not enough. Her fingers rested on the notes. Ronka saw her hesitation and laughed. "Do not tell me you want to sponsor him. You people like carrying problems on your head as if suffering gives award." Sade looked at Niyi again. His eyes were not begging. That confused her. But hunger had many faces. Pride was one of them. "There is a food stand across the road," she said. "Come." Bode moved in front of her. "You are not going anywhere yet. Your bag must be checked. Security." "I have not entered the building." Ronki folded her arms. "She has been hanging around the donation area. Search it." Sade stepped back. "No. You cannot just search my personal bag because I disagreed with you." Phones lifted. The camera operator moved closer. Ronka Al's face changed. She understood cameras better than everybody there. A poor woman arguing at the entrance could become embarrassing. But a poor thief caught at the entrance could become useful. She leaned toward Bode. The movement lasted less than 2 seconds. Sade did not hear the words. Niyi did not either, but he saw Bode Aloe's eyes drop toward her open canvas bag. Then the envelope tore. Money scattered. Ronke Aloe's red shoe trapped a note. Her laughter cut through the air. "Look at you. You cannot feed yourself, yet you are performing charity for a roadside beggar. Poverty has damaged your brain." 2 guards seized Niyi. One pulled his arm behind him. The other dragged him backward. His knee struck the edge of the pavement. Pain flashed through his face. Musa Alo's voice sharpened in his ear. "Sir, I am moving in." "No," Ni whispered. Sade heard him. She thought he was begging the guards. "Leave him," she shouted. Ronke Alo's smile widened. "See how she is defending him. Search her bag." Bode grabbed the canvas strap. Sade held on. "You have no right." "Then call police," he said. He pulled hard. The bag opened. Her course manual fell out. Her old purse dropped beside it. A pen rolled under the flower stand. Then Bode reached inside and removed a thick white envelope sealed with gold tape. "Donations. Dignity Week." Sade stared. The world became quiet in a strange way. She could still see mouths moving. She could see people lifting phones. She could see Ronke Alo's earrings shaking as she turned toward the camera. But sound went far away. "I have never seen that envelope," Sade said. Bode weighed it in his palm. "Of course. I did not put it there." Ronke faced the guests. "This is exactly why we protect our beneficiaries from fraud. Some people see charity and think it is free money. Ma, you know I did not take that." Ronke Alo's eyes landed on her, cold, satisfied, ni thief. The word struck harder than a slap. Sade bent slowly and picked up her scattered notes. 1, 2, 3. Her fingers trembled so badly, she dropped the 500 naira note twice. Nobody helped, not one person. When she finished, she walked to Niyi. Bode laughed. "You still want to give him money?" Sade placed the notes inside Niyi Alo's palm. "Please buy food, sir." Ronke Alo's smile vanished. Niyi looked down at the money, then he lifted his head. For 1 second, the disguise slipped. Not the beard, not the clothes, the man. His eyes held the silence of someone used to ending meetings with one sentence. Ronke stepped back before she understood why. Sade knelt to gather her coarse, manual and brown envelope. Bode kicked the pen toward her. "Take your rubbish and leave." Niyi Alo's hand tightened around the money. He wanted to stand. He wanted to say his name. He wanted to watch every face collapse. Musa was already crossing the road. Then Niyi saw Ronke signal to a staff member near the security desk. The staff member quickly removed a memory card from the camera system and slipped it into his pocket. Evidence was moving. If Niyi revealed himself now, the rest would disappear. He swallowed the anger. Sade helped him stand. "Can you walk?" "Yes, come, let us leave these people." Her voice broke on the last word. But she did not cry there. That, more than anything, shamed him. Across the road, Sade bought 1 plate of rice and beans for 1,600 naira. She added a bottle of water for 300. Then she paid 1,950 naira to a tricycle driver to take the man toward a public clinic in Ikoyi because his knee was bleeding and his hand would not stop trembling. The money finished exactly. She stood beside the tricycle with an empty purse. "Sir, the driver will stop at the clinic. Tell them you fell." "And you?" Niyi asked. "I will manage." "How will you go home?" I said I will manage. There was no pride in it, only fatigue. Niyi looked at her face carefully. "What is your name?" "Sad." "Sad what?" She hesitated. "Sad. Xoka." He nodded. "Why did you help me?" Sad gave a tired laugh. "Because you were hungry." "What if I cannot return the money?" She looked at him as if the question itself was foolish. "I did not lend it to you." The tricycle driver started the engine. Niyi climbed in. Sade stepped back. As the tricycle pulled away, she turned and began walking toward the bus stop. She had no transport fare, no electricity money, no job application submitted. And by the next morning, she would have no job at all. Niyi watched her disappear into the evening crowd. Musa followed the tricycle in an unmarked car. At the next junction, Niyi told the driver to stop. Musa paid him and helped Niyi into the back seat. For several seconds, neither man spoke. Then Musa looked at the notes in Niyi Alo's hand. "You allowed her to spend everything." I did not know it was everything, you asked. She said she would manage. Musa Alo's expression did not soften. Poor Porcel say that when they do not want their suffering to become another person. Alo's entertainment. The words landed heavily. Nii opened the food pack Sade had bought. Beneath it was the receipt. On the back, written in blue ink, were 4 words and a number. Dignity basket missing units, 11,407. Nii went still. Musa leaned closer. What is it? Nii handed him the paper. Musa read it once. Then again. The anonymous report. Maybe. You think she sent it? Nii looked through the window toward the road where Sade had vanished. I think the woman Ronke called a thief may be the only person who tried to tell me the truth. Back at Lekki Crown, Ronke stood inside the security office while Bode locked the door. The smile she had worn for cameras was gone. Did you remove the footage? She asked. The internal angle, yes, and the public phones? We cannot control all of them. We do not need to. Send the edited clip first. Make sure it starts when the envelope comes out of her bag. Bode nodded. Ronke turned toward the dark monitor. What about her records? She worked under the old contractor. I will call them. Call now. Madam, she is nobody. Ronke faced him. No, nobody keeps copies for 2 years unless they are waiting for a moment. That woman came here with documents. Bodo's confidence faded. What do you want me to do? Remove her access. Remove her job. Remove her credibility. She picked up her phone. And find out where she lives. Sade reached Yaba at 9:42 that night. She had walked until her feet burned, then boarded a bus after a woman at the stop quietly paid her fare. Said had tried to refuse. The woman had only said, "My sister, today is your turn to collect. Tomorrow may be mine." Those words followed her home. The room she rented stood behind a mechanic Alo's workshop, inside a compound where 6 tenants shared 1 tap and 1 bathroom. The walls had once been painted cream. Time and rain had changed their mind. Said entered, locked the door, and leaned against it. Only then did she cry. Not loudly. Loud crying attracted questions, and questions required explanations. She covered her mouth with one hand and allowed the tears to run down her face. The word thief had entered her body. It sat there, heavy. She removed the turquoise scarf and placed it on the plastic chair. Her course manual was bent. One corner had been stepped on. The brown envelope containing her copied records was still inside, though 2 sheets had slipped loose. She counted them. 47 copied dispatch forms. 19 freight invoices. 6 photographs printed in a cybercafe. 1 handwritten list of beneficiary addresses that did not exist. Everything was there. Said pressed the papers flat beneath her mattress. Her phone had 14 missed calls. 3 were from the laundry supervisor. 2 were from unknown numbers. 9 were from co-workers. A message entered while she was looking. "You are trending, oh." Another followed. "Why did you steal from charity?" Then a video link. Said opened it. The clip lasted 41 seconds. It began with Bode removing the donation envelope from her bag. It showed her saying, "I have never seen that envelope." It showed Ronke calling her a thief. It showed Sade giving money to the ragged man. But it did not show Bode taking her bag. It did not show him standing close enough to place anything inside. It did not show the guards pushing the man. The caption read, "Fake Beggar and woman caught stealing donations at Lekki charity event." The comments were worse. See her pretending to be kind after stealing. Poor people have too much entitlement. She should be arrested. The beggar is probably her husband. Said shut the phone off. For a long time, she sat on the edge of the bed in darkness. The compound generator stopped at 10 Nuno. Nobody had paid her electricity contribution. At 6:08 the next morning, somebody banged on her door. "Sad! Come out!" It was the laundry supervisor. She opened the door halfway. He stood beside the compound gate, sweating inside a short-sleeved shirt. "What happened at Lecky Crown yesterday?" he demanded. "You saw the video. I am asking you." "They planted that envelope in my bag." He laughed once, without humor. "Plant? Is your bag farmland?" "Sir, I did not steal anything. The client called me before 6 this morning. They said you caused a public disturbance and attempted to take donation money. They do not want you near any facility connected to them." Saad stared at him. "So what are you saying? You are no longer needed at the warehouse." "My unpaid salary." "Settle your case first. My salary has nothing to do with their allegation." He stepped closer. "Listen to me. And Balagan Group gives our company contracts worth more than your lifetime earnings. Do you think I will argue with them because of one temporary worker? I am not temporary. I have worked there 11 months. Then use the experience to find another job." He turned to leave. Sadie followed him to the gate. "You cannot dismiss me without my money." He looked back. "You cannot enter my warehouse again. Come near the gate, and security will remove you." "Sir, and stop calling me. I do not employ thieves." He left before she could answer. The compound had become too quiet. Curtains shifted behind windows. A door closed softly. Somebody coughed. Everybody had heard. Said returned to her room and sat down. She did not move for 19 minutes. Then she pulled the copied documents from beneath the mattress and spread them across the floor. If she had destroyed them 2 years earlier, perhaps nobody would be searching for her now. If she had kept quiet at Lecky Crown, perhaps she would still have a job. If she had walked past the hungry man, she would still have 3,850 naira. Every good choice seemed to have punished her. Her hand hovered above the papers. A matchbox sat beside the kerosene stove. One flame could end the trouble. Said picked up the matchbox. Then she remembered the community center in Mushin. Women had waited 6 hours under the sun for relief packs that never arrived. One man had shown her his registration slip 3 times because he believed she had not understood. A grandmother had sat on an upturned bucket until evening, only to be told her name was not on the final list. The following week, Sade saw the missing rice stacked inside a Balagan retail warehouse with new stickers. She returned the matchbox to the floor. "No," she whispered. Her voice was small, but it was there. Across Lagos, Ni Balagan had not slept either. At 5:30 a.m., he sat in his private study wearing a plain white shirt. The anonymous report opened beside Sada Ilo's food receipt. Musa stood near the window with 2 tablets and a printed timeline. The edited video was uploaded at 7:12 p.m., Musa said. It came first from a staff media account, then spread through 3 gossip pages. Who authorized the post? We are tracing it. The account is managed by Ronki Elo's communications unit. And the original security footage. The Lecky Crown system shows a manual export at 5:51 p.m., followed by deletion of 19 minutes from camera 4. Ni Elo's eyes hardened. Can it be recovered? Possibly. But I do not want to alert their technical staff. I have requested a silent backup through the central server. Nii leaned back. What about the woman? Sad Coker, 33. No criminal record. Former temporary inventory clerk under Dignity Basket. Current laundry warehouse employee, or she was until this morning. Nii Alo's gaze lifted. What happened this morning? The contractor dismissed her after a call from Bode Alo's office. The room went still. Ni placed both hands on the desk. They removed her job before conducting any inquiry. Yes. Because she defended me. Because she may have records. Ni looked at the receipt again. 11,407 missing units. What else? Musa changed the screen. Saad attended a part-time warehouse accounting course for 7 months. Fees paid irregularly, but she has not dropped out. Rent is modest. No unexplained deposits. No association with known fraud cases. Her previous supervisor under Dignity Basket marked her file and difficult with authority. What did she do? Asked for physical counts to be reconciled before signing dispatch sheets. Nii laughed once. There was no humor in it. In my company, accuracy is now difficult behavior. Musa did not respond. Nii rose and walked to the window. Below him, Lagos moved beneath morning haze. Cars entered the business district. Boats crossed the lagoon. Thousands of workers were already on their way to offices owned by men they would never meet. How many times have I stood on a stage and praised that program? He asked. Musa remained silent. How many awards? 7 major recognitions in 4 years. How many reports did I sign without checking the raw distribution records? That question is for your audit team, sir. Nii turned. No, it is for me. He returned to the desk. I want to speak to her. As yourself. Nii looked at the ragged clothes folded inside a sealed bag on the sofa. Not yet. Musa Alo's eyebrows rose. You are continuing? I need to know whether she sent the report and what she kept. You also need to consider that she may feel deceived when she learns who you are. She will understand why. Musa gave him a long look. That is what powerful people say when they expect poor people to accept decisions made over their heads. Nii Alo's jaw tightened. But he did not dismiss him. By 4:20 that afternoon, Sade was behind a wooden table near a small row of shops in Yaba. The table had been built from an old door laid across 2 beverage crates. 3 loaves of unsold bread sat inside a clean plastic container. Beside them were 6 oranges, a bowl of cooked beans from a food vendor, and 2 bottles of water. A handwritten sign read, "Take what you need. Leave what you can. No photos." Sade had started the table 8 months earlier after seeing restaurants throw away food while people searched bins nearby. At first, traders mocked her. You want to become Lagos Mother Teresa? One had asked. Another warned her that hungry people would steal the table itself. They did not. The table survived. Some days it held almost nothing. Other days a baker dropped 20 loaves. A woman who sold rice sometimes brought portions left at closing time, but only if they had been kept hot enough and not served from customers' aloe plates. Saad was strict. She wrote the collection time on each container. She rejected sour stew, swollen tins, moldy bread, and cooked food that had sat uncovered in the heat. Hunger does not mean people should eat rubbish, she often said. That afternoon she checked the beans. Cooked at 12? She asked the vendor. Yes, kept on the warmer. Yes, my sister. Then we can share it until 6. After that, throw it away. Throw food away when people are hungry. Food poisoning will not respect poverty. Safety first. The vendor nodded. Nii watched from across the road. He had returned in the same grey-brown kaftan, though the bruising on his knee was now real. Musa waited inside a parked vehicle where he could see the entire row of shops. Nii approached slowly. Sade saw him and froze. Niyu. Good afternoon. She looked behind him. Did the clinic treat you? Yes. Where is your family? I am still trying to reach them. Her eyes narrowed. You said that yesterday. I said very little yesterday. Exactly. Nii almost smiled. Say did not. She pointed to a plastic chair beside the table. Sit. But first, answer me properly. Are you sleeping outside? For now. Do you have an identity card? Not with me. Any medication? Nothing urgent. Any wound apart from the knee? No. She studied him again. Something about him was wrong. Not wrong like danger. Wrong like a shirt buttoned unevenly. His nails were too clean beneath the dust. His speech was too measured. When a Danfo driver shouted nearby, he did not flinch like a man used to sleeping beside traffic. He looked at people directly. He did not scan the ground for dropped coins. Sadie folded her arms. "What is your name?" "Nii." "What?" He hesitated for half a breath. Nii bellow. It was the first lie he told her directly. He disliked how easily it came. Sade caught the pause. "Hope no problem?" "No problem." People who say no problem too quickly usually carry plenty problem. She gave him a portion of beans and half a loaf of bread. "Eat. I cannot take food meant for others." "You are others." He sat. Two men approached the table. One took bread. The second reached for 3 oranges. Sade stopped him. "Ogre, take one first. Other people will come." He frowned. "I have 4 people at home. Then take 2. Not all 6. The man took 2 and left. Nii watched. "You keep records," he asked, "of everything that enters and leaves. Why?" "Because good intentions without records can become theft." The sentence struck him. He chewed slowly. "You worked in a warehouse." Sade Alo's face changed. "How do you know?" "You count before you share." "That is not an answer." Nii placed the bread down. "I heard what you said at the event. You came to apply for warehouse work." She looked away. "I no longer need to apply." "Why?" "They have already called me a thief across Lagos. Who will employ me?" "You know the envelope was planted." "I know. You know. The people watching the video do not know." "You could report them." "To who?" "The police." "With which money?" "Which lawyer?" "Which original video?" "The company has cameras, security, media people, and senior managers. I have a canvas bag and 1 bent notebook." "You have documents." The words left his mouth too quickly. Sade went still. Musa heard the silence through Nii Alo's microphone. "Careful," he said into the earpiece. Sade stepped away from the table. "What documents?" Nii held her gaze. "The papers that fell from your bag. You saw only my course manual and a brown envelope. So? So maybe they searched you because they were afraid of what you carried." Saad Alo's face closed completely. "Finish your food. I am trying to help." "No. You are asking questions. Sometimes questions help. Sometimes questions locate your weakness for somebody else." She moved the food container closer to herself. "You should go." Nii stood. "I gave you food. I paid for your clinic. That does not buy access to my life." He stopped. The rebuke was calm. That made it sharper. Nii nodded. "You are right." Sade had not expected that. Most men with pride defended it until everybody became tired. He simply accepted the boundary. He turned to leave. "Wait," she said. Nii looked back. Sadie took a small card from beneath the table. It belonged to a community shelter that accepted adult men after basic screening. "Go there before 7. They may have space. Do not sleep under the bridge if you can avoid it." He took the card. "You still want to help me after sending me away?" "I am sending your questions away." Hunger is separate. Nii stared at the card. For the first time in years, he had no clever answer. He walked back toward the parked vehicle. Musa opened the rear door. "That went well," he said. Nii entered. "She does not trust me." She should not. She noticed too much. That is probably why she found 11,000 missing units while your executives found photo opportunities. Nii looked at him. Musa started the car. "Do you want an honest security officer or an obedient decoration?" "Drive." That evening, Nii ordered the external audit to begin without notifying Ronke Alo's team. Digital access logs were copied. Warehouse data was mirrored to a secure server. Freight contracts were pulled from procurement archives. Still, he did not reveal himself to Sade. He told himself it was necessary. Part of it was. The next day, Sade received a call from an unknown woman who introduced herself as a payroll mediator working for her former contractor. "We can settle everything," the woman said. 3 months, outstanding pay, plus 600,000 naira goodwill. Sade sat upright on her bed. Why goodwill? To resolve reputational inconvenience. What must I sign? A standard statement confirming that the warehouse documents in your Kinjor possession were copied without authorization and may have been altered after your contract ended. Sadialo's grip tightened on the phone. I did not alter anything. Nobody is saying you intentionally did so. You just said the statement would say I did. It will say the records cannot be verified. They can be verified against the original dispatch system. The woman paused. Madam Saad, let us not make life difficult. 600,000 naira can help you. You have already lost one job. So, you know I lost my job. It is public information. No, it happened before sunrise. The video did not say where I worked. Silence. Sade Ilo's heartbeat changed. Who sent you? She asked. The call ended at 12:03 p.m. Somebody slipped an envelope beneath her door. Inside was a draft statement and a photocopy of her national identity slip. At the bottom, a yellow note carried 6 handwritten words. Sign today. Problems can become bigger. Said photographed every page beside that day Alo's newspaper. Then she placed the originals inside a plastic folder. She did not post them online. She did not call the number back. She walked to a legal aid center 2 kilometers away. That was where she met Titi George. Titi was 38, wore a mustard blouse beneath a cream jacket, and had the patient face of a woman who had heard too many lies to be impressed by new ones. She read the draft statement twice. Did you sign anything? No. Did you reply to the note? No. Good. Said leaned forward. Can they arrest me? Anybody can make a complaint. Arrest is not conviction. A complaint is not truth. They found a donation envelope in my bag. Did you touch it? No. Bode held it. Was the bag out of your control? For some seconds. Witnesses? Many. But most were recording from the front. Other cameras? A pharmacy across the road. A fuel station farther down. Maybe traffic cameras. Titi nodded. Good. We do not shout yet, we preserve. What does that mean? Keep. Originals. Make copies. Write a timeline while your memory is fresh. Record names, times, exact words. Do not edit files. Do not add dramatic explanations. Facts first. Sade exhaled slowly. Titi tapped the envelope. And do not sign anything you do not understand because hunger is squeezing your neck. That is how people turn need into evidence against the needy. For the first time since the event, Sade felt something stronger than fear. Direction. She spent the afternoon writing. 5:34 p.m. Rear distribution closed early. 5:38 p.m. Bode approached. Approx 5:41 p.m. Bag pulled from shoulder. Approx 5:42 p.m. Envelope removed. 7:12 p.m. Edited video posted. 6:08 a.m. Next day, supervisor dismissed me. When she finished, Titi made 3 copies. One stays here, the lawyer said. One stays with you. One goes somewhere safe that is not your room. Saad frowned. Why not my room? Because whoever sent this note already has your identity slip. That means they have information. We behave as if they may have your address too. The warning came one day too late. At 11:27 the following morning, a man in a delivery uniform entered Sadelo's compound, carrying a small carton. He told a tenant he had medicine for the woman in the orange blouse. Say was at the legal aid center. Her door lock was cheap. By 11:35, the man was gone. At 7:16 the next morning, police officers arrived with a search request linked to a theft complaint. The compound filled with whispers. Sade stood beside Titi while the officers searched her room. She had called the lawyer the moment they knocked. They checked the mattress, the plastic bucket, the cooking shelf, the canvas bag, and the metal box beneath the bed. One officer lifted a folded scarf. Something silver flashed beneath it. He removed a diamond-studded wristwatch. Sade stared. Titi Alo's face became very still. "Do not touch it," she said. The officer turned the watch over. A small engraving sat beneath the clasp. R.D. Ronker Daniels. The compound gasped as one body. Sade felt the room tilt. "I have never seen that watch in my life." The officer placed it inside an evidence bag. Titi moved closer to Sade. "Say nothing else until we are in a formal interview." But they put it there. "I know what you believe. Now we prove what happened." Outside, somebody was already recording. Sade looked through the doorway and saw her landlord squeezing his face beside the gate. Behind him stood neighbors who had once collected bread from her community table. Nobody came closer. The officer asked her to accompany them. Sade picked up her turquoise scarf and tied it with shaking hands. As she stepped out, a new message appeared on her phone from an unknown number. "You should have signed." The police interview room had no windows. A white tube light buzzed above the table. The fan turned slowly, pushing warm air from one corner to another. Sad sat beside Titi with both hands flat on her lap because the lawyer had told her not to clutch them together. Across from them, an investigating officer opened a file. "Madam Sad Coker, you were seen with a donation envelope belonging to Dignity Basket Initiative on Thursday evening. I did not put it in my bag, and this morning a wristwatch reported missing by Mrs. Ronke Daniels was found in your room. I have never entered her office or her house. You worked under her program. 2 years ago. I did not work directly with her." The officer studied her. "Why would anybody plant 2 separate items on you?" Titi answered before Sade could. "My client is not required to explain the motive of the person who may have framed her. Your duty is to investigate access, handling, timing, and evidence continuity." The officer shifted his eyes toward her. "Counsel, allow your client to speak. I will allow her to answer questions. I will not allow your question to become a conclusion." A second officer sat near the wall, typing. The first one turned a page. "Mrs. Daniels reported the watch missing at 9:15 yesterday morning. Your client had already publicly accused her organization of wrongdoing." "I did not publicly accuse anybody," Saad said. "I told a lawyer." "Did you take internal records from the program?" "I kept copies of dispatch forms I was asked to sign. Without permission. I was responsible for checking the quantities." "Did you remove them from the workplace?" Titi placed one finger on the table. "Before we answer further questions about documents, we need the exact nature of the complaint, the items alleged to be confidential, and the legal basis for this interview." The officer leaned back. "This is not court. No. Which is why you should be careful not to behave as if guilt has already been decided." Silence filled the room. Sade stared at the scratches on the table. She wanted to speak. She wanted to pour everything out. The missing food, the fake signatures, the early closure at Lecky Crown, the envelope, the call, the note, the watch. But Titi had warned her. Truth without order could sound like panic. So Sade followed the timeline. She gave times. She gave locations. She gave names. She explained when her bag left her control. She described the man who searched it. She described the security office and the pharmacy across the road. She described the unsigned settlement statement and the unknown phone call. Titi submitted copies. The officer Ilo's attitude changed slightly when he saw the threatening note. Only slightly. At 2:36 p.m., Sade was released pending further investigation. No charge had been filed. Her phone and documents were returned after copies were made, but the watch remained in evidence. Outside the station, sunlight hit her face. She stopped on the pavement. Titi touched her elbow. "Breathe, I am breathing." "No, you are counting breaths like debt." Sade inhaled deeply. Cars passed. Hawkers shouted. A motorcycle horn cut through the traffic. Life had continued while she sat beneath a buzzing light trying to prove she had not stolen a watch. "What happens now?" she asked. "We build what they failed to build before accusing you. Evidence. Exactly." Titi opened her bag and brought out a small notebook. "First, the compound camera. There is no camera in our compound, not inside. On the pharmacies at the junction. It faces the gate." Sade looked at her. "You noticed?" "I notice cameras because they often remember what people pretend to forget." They walked back toward Yaba. By the time they reached the pharmacy, the owner had already heard about the watch. He refused to release footage without a formal request, but he agreed not to delete it. "The system overwrites after 14 days, he said. Titi wrote that down. "Please preserve footage from yesterday, 10:30 to 12:30. We will bring the request." The owner glanced at Saad. "She is the woman from the video." Sade lowered her eyes. Titi did not. "She is the woman standing in front of you." The owner looked uncomfortable. That difference mattered. One image was public entertainment. The other was a person. When Sade returned to the compound, her landlord waited beside her door. He did not ask what happened. He pointed at the room. "You need to leave." Sade blinked. "My rent is not due until next month. I will return the unused balance. You cannot remove me because police searched my room. I do not want trouble here. The trouble entered because somebody broke my lock." He spread his hands. "Madame, I am not judge. I am only protecting my property." Titi stepped forward. "You cannot evict her immediately without notice." The landlord looked at the cream jacket, then at Titi Arlo's face. "Lawyer Beg, do not bring grammar into my compound. Then do not bring illegal eviction into your compound," he muttered under his breath. Finally, he agreed to 7 days. 7 days to find a room without a job, without savings, and with her face spreading online beside the word thief. Sade entered and closed the door. The broken lock hung loosely from the frame. Titi remained outside for a moment. "Do you have somewhere safe tonight?" "I can stay. The person who entered may return. I cannot carry my whole life to your office." "No, but you can carry the part that matters." Together, they packed the original documents, identity papers, course records, and one change of clothes. Titi arranged temporary space through a women Aloes support hostel used by the Legal Aid Center. Sade left behind her stove, mattress, table, buckets, and the orange blouse she had washed that morning. The room looked strange when she locked it, as if it had already forgotten her. At 3:10 p.m., Musa walked into Niyi Alo's office without waiting to be announced. Niyi was in a meeting with 2 finance executives. Musa placed a tablet on the table. "We need the room." One executive frowned. Niyi looked at Musa Alo's face and dismissed them immediately. "What happened?" "They searched Sade Koka Alo's room this morning. A watch belonging to Ronke was found inside." Niyi stood so fast, his chair rolled backward. "Where is she?" "Released after questioning, no charge." "Her lawyer is with her." "Who authorized the complaint?" "Ronke reported the watch missing. Bode submitted security information connecting Sade to the event theft." Niyi Alo's voice dropped. "They are building a pattern." "Yes." "Donation envelope. Watch. Documents. Yes." Niyi moved toward the door. Musa blocked him. "Where are you going?" "To the police station." "She has left." "Then I will find her." "As Niyi Balagun?" "Yes." Musa did not move. Niyi Alo's eyes hardened. "Step aside, no." The word hung in the office. Men did not tell Niyi Balagun no. Not twice. Musa continued before anger could take control. "If you appear now, Ronke knows the chairman is investigating. Servers will be wiped. Drivers will disappear. Accounts will be emptied. Every employee who might speak will receive one warning before sunset." A woman has been dragged into a police station because she helped me. A woman has been dragged into a police station because she has evidence. Your disguise did not create the corruption. It only placed you close enough to see it. Ni Alo's hands shook. He looked away. Musa softened his voice. She has counsel. We can support the legal process without exposing the source. We can preserve footage. We can trace access. We can freeze data quietly. But if you turn this into a Chairman Elo's rescue, you may save her from one interview and destroy the case that can clear her name properly. Ni leaned against the desk. Properly? Yes, sir. What is proper about any of this? Nothing. But proof is what remains when outrage becomes old news. Ni closed his eyes. Then he nodded. Do it. Musa moved quickly. A formal preservation request reached the pharmacy before evening. Another went to the Traffic Management Authority. The central IT team copied access logs without alerting local administrators. An outside forensic firm received a mirror of the deleted video folder. Ni also authorized a full audit through an independent law firm whose contract did not report to Ronke. He gave one instruction. No internal notification until the evidence is secured. Still, the case did not become easy. The pharmacy footage showed a delivery man entering the compound at 11:27 a.m. and leaving 8 minutes later. His face was partly hidden by a cap. The carton in his hand was visible. The watch was not. Traffic footage caught a motorcycle number, but one digit was unclear. The laundry contractor denied receiving instructions from Bode, though call logs later showed a 4-minute conversation between their offices. The original Lecky Crown camera file remained damaged. Truth was present, but it was not yet complete. For 4 days, Said lived inside the support hostel. She slept on the lower bunk of a metal bed. She kept her belongings in one blue bag. At night, other women whispered about court cases, unpaid salaries, violent landlords, and relatives who had taken their money. Nobody there asked why she did not simply call somebody rich. Poor people knew that many lives had no emergency number. Said searched for work every morning. At one supermarket, the manager recognized her from the video. We will call you, he said, without collecting her application. At a small hotel, the receptionist whispered to another worker and pointed at her bag. At a warehouse in Suralere, she passed the counting test with 98%, then received a rejection message 40 minutes later. No reason. She knew the reason. On the 5th evening, she went back to the community food table. The wooden door still rested across the crates, but it was empty. Nobody had refilled it since her arrest. A trader nearby looked away when she approached. Said cleaned the surface with water and disinfectant. She placed 4 loaves on the table, using money Titi had given her for transport. The first person to come was a woman who had previously donated oranges. She stopped 3 steps away. Are you still doing this? Yes, but people said you stole charity money. People said many things. The woman looked at the bread. Did you? Sade Alo's throat tightened. No. The woman studied her face, then placed a bag containing 6 bananas on the table. I do not know what happened, she said. But I know you have never taken 1 orange from here without writing it down. She walked away. Said stared at the bananas until her vision blurred. One act of belief could not repair a reputation. But it could stop a person from breaking. Ni came that evening in the ragged kaftan. Sade saw him and squeezed her face. You again. I heard what happened. How? People are talking. People enjoy talking when the fire is inside another person Alo's room. He looked at the empty crates beneath the table. You came back. It is Thursday. You almost lost your freedom. And hungry people should stop eating because somebody lied against me. Ni lowered his gaze. Sade noticed his knee had improved. Did you go to the shelter? Yes. That was partly true. Musa had visited it and confirmed it had open beds. Did they accept you? I did not stay. Why? I had somewhere else to go. Said looked at him sharply. Where? With somebody I know. Then why are you still wearing the same clothes? Nii almost answered. He stopped. Sade folded her arms. Mr. Nii Bello, I do not believe you. His chest tightened at the false surname. What do you believe? I do not know. But you are not an ordinary street beggar. He said nothing. You speak like a man who has spent his life being answered. You look at security guards as if you can sack them. Even your hands are wrong. My hands? They are not hands that sleep outside. Nii looked at his palms. The observation humbled him more than accusation would have. Said lowered her voice. Are you running from somebody? No. Did you commit something? No. Then tell me the truth. He could not. Not yet. I am trying to understand something, he said. What? How people behave when they think nobody important is watching. Sad stared at him. The words sounded strange. Too careful. Too close to confession. Before she could press further, a small crowd gathered at the table. 2 men collected bread. A woman asked for beans. Said became busy, checking the time marked on a covered bowl. Nii remained nearby. He watched her reject a container of rice that smelled sour. But somebody can still eat it, the donor protested. Then you eat it, Sade replied. The donor recoiled. Said raised an eyebrow. Exactly. Hunger does not remove a person aloe's stomach lining. We do not give poor people what we are afraid to eat ourselves. Nii absorbed every word. At 6:18 p.m., Said finally sat down. Her face looked pale. Have you eaten? Nii asked. I am managing. That means no. It means mind your business. He bought 2 portions of yam from a nearby seller using money Musa had given him for the disguise. He placed one before her. Said looked at it. Where did you get money? A friend. This mysterious friend is very useful. He complains too much. Inside the parked car, Musa heard him and shook his head. Sade pushed the food back. I cannot take it. You gave me your last money. That does not make you owe me food. It does not. I am sharing because there are 2 portions. She studied him for several seconds. Then she accepted. They ate in silence. It was the first quiet moment Sade had experienced in days. For Nii, it was worse than noise. He knew the woman beside him was homeless because of a system bearing his surname. He knew she had been questioned while he sat in a tower, deciding when truth should become convenient. He knew she was eating yam bought with money from the man whose company had withheld relief food from thousands. The food became difficult to swallow. Why are you squeezing your face? Sade asked. I am thinking. Thinking has never fed anybody. Sometimes it changes what happens next. She gave him a tired look. Then think fast. 3 days later, Sade received another rejection message. That evening, rain fell hard over Yaba. The community table had been packed away. Water rushed along the gutter, carrying sachets and leaves toward the drain. Sid stood beneath the awning of a closed shop, waiting for the rain to reduce. She had spent the day helping Titi sort documents. Her final transport money was 1,000 naira. She saw Nii near the bus stop. He was leaning against a concrete post. At first, she thought he was sheltering from the rain. Then his knees bent. His body slid downward. Nii, Saad ran. He tried to speak, but his lips moved without sound. Sweat covered his forehead despite the cold rain. His hands trembled violently. What is wrong? Sugar, he managed. Are you diabetic? He nodded. Have you eaten? No, Said opened her bag. She had 1 small sachet drink and 2 glucose sweets from the legal aid office. She pushed the first sweet into his hand. Chew. Slowly. He obeyed. She called the nearest public clinic. and described his condition. The nurse told her to bring him immediately if he could swallow and remain conscious. Sade waved down a tricycle. The driver named a price, 1,500. It is not far. Rain price. This man may collapse. Madam, fuel does not know emergency. Sade gave him her last 1,000 and promised the balance at the clinic. She climbed in beside Niyi and kept talking to him throughout the ride. Do not sleep. I am awake. What is your full name? He closed his eyes. Niyi. Niyi what? He almost laughed. Even near collapse, she was still investigating him. Niyibal. A horn blasted beside them. He stopped. Niyi Bello, he finished weakly. At the clinic, nurses checked his blood sugar and placed him on a narrow bed. The reading was low but treatable. They gave him glucose and food, then asked for a contact person. Sade looked at him. Who should we call? He murmured a number. Musa answered before the second ring. He arrived 17 minutes later, wearing a plain grey shirt instead of his usual suit. Sade met him outside the treatment room. You are his friend? Yes. What kind of friend allows a diabetic man to move around without food? Musa opened his mouth, then closed it. You are right, he said. Sade had expected an excuse. The agreement disarmed her. Musa paid the clinic balance and the tricycle driver. Then he brought out a thick envelope. This is for your trouble. Sade looked at it and stepped back. No, it is not charity. I said no. You used your transport money. Pay the driver. That is enough. You have helped him twice. That does not make me a service provider. Musa lowered the envelope. Inside the treatment room, Niyi heard every word. Saad continued. Take him somewhere safe. Make sure he eats. And stop allowing him to move around Lagos, dressed like suffering if he has people who can care for him. Musa Alo's eyes moved briefly toward the door. I will tell him. Tell him the truth also. Whatever he is doing, it is not normal. She turned to leave. Niyi called weakly from inside. Saad. She stopped at the doorway. He sat up against the pillow. You saved my life. I gave you sugar. You stayed. A human being does not need to be my relative before I stop him from dying. The room became very quiet. Niyi looked at her for a long time. Thank you. Saad nodded once. Then she left in the rain. Musa waited until the door closed. You need to tell her. Niyi looked down at the hospital blanket. I know. No, sir. You have known. Now you need to do it. Niyi said nothing. Musa placed the envelope back in his pocket. She thinks you are a vulnerable man. She is making decisions based on that belief. Every day you delay, the truth becomes less like protection and more like manipulation. Niyi Alo's face tightened. The audit is not complete. The audit does not require you to lie about your name. Niyi looked toward the rain-streaked window. I wanted to know whether her kindness was real. Musa Allah's voice hardened. She gave you her last money before she knew anything about you. What more evidence does your ego need? The words struck cleanly. Niyi did not answer. The next morning, Titi called Sade before Aitlet. We have the pharmacy footage. Sade sat up on the hostel bed. Can we see his face? Partly. More importantly, one tenant identified the delivery uniform. It belongs to a dispatch company used by Bodalo's security office. Is that enough? Not alone. Sadalo's hope dropped. But it is a thread, Titi continued, and threads become rope when you keep pulling. At 11:40, another thread appeared. An unknown man called the legal aid office and asked to speak to Saad. His voice was low. He refused to give his name. I drove Truxford for Dignity Basket, he said. I saw the video. Saad gripped the receiver. What do you know? I know you did not lie about the quantities. Can you come here? No. Why? I have another job now. I have family. These people know how to close doors. Titi signaled for Sade to keep him talking. Do you have records? Sade asked. A long silence followed. 19 invoices, he said finally. 47 dispatch sheets. Messages changing delivery locations after trucks left the main depot. Sadalo's heart began to pound. Where are they? Safe, sir. People have called me a thief because of those records. I know. They put a watch in my room, I know. Then help me. The man breathed heavily into the phone. My sister, courage is easy when another person will pay the price. Sad closed her eyes. I have already paid. The line remained quiet. Then he gave her a place and a time. No name, no promises, only one instruction. Come with the lawyer. The meeting place was a mechanic aloe's yard near Ojota, chosen because engines were loud and strangers came and went without attracting attention. Sadi arrived with Titi at 6:23 p.m. The sky was turning purple above the roofs. Men in stained overalls rolled tires across the yard. A radio played old high-life music beside a wooden kiosk. The former driver waited inside a parked minibus. He was broad-shouldered, with tired eyes, and a cap pulled low over his face. He did not offer his name. T did not force him. You understand that anonymous documents may help an investigation, she said, but a court or disciplinary panel may later require testimony. The man looked toward the yard entrance. That is what I am afraid of. Fear does not make your information useless. It only means we must protect the process. He brought out a black nylon bag. Inside were 19 original freight invoices, 47 copied dispatch forms, and printed screenshots of messages sent from an operations number. The messages changed delivery points after trucks had left the depot. Route 4 to Ajagunle cancelled. Redirect 312 units to Crown Annex. Moosh and drop reduced. Balance to retail cold room. Do not update beneficiary sheet until Monday. Sade read each line carefully. Her hands became cold. This is the same week I counted the 713 packs. She whispered. The driver nodded. We loaded 713. 491 reached Mushin. The rest went to the Crown Annex warehouse. Who ordered it? Titi asked. The messages came through operations. Bode Arlo's men checked the truck at the gate. Ronki Arlo's office approved the revised route. Did you ever speak to Ronki directly? Once. I complained that the waybills no longer matched the load. She said, a driver is paid to move the truck, not to count the owner Arlo's goods. Sada looked up. Will you repeat that formally? The man rubbed both hands over his face. I have a new job. They can call my employer. Titi leaned forward. We can request protected witness handling. We can take a recorded statement through counsel. We can avoid publishing your identity. But I will not deceive you. There is always risk. The driver looked at Sade. You lost your job? Yes. Your room? Yes, and you are still following this. Sade lowered the papers. For 2 years I told myself I kept the copies because I was careful. That was not the full truth. I kept them because one day I wanted somebody to confirm I was not mad. I saw food disappear. I saw signatures copied. Everybody above me behaved as if numbers could be bullied into changing. The driver looked down. Sade continued. If you cannot testify now, give the documents. But do not destroy yourself to prove my innocence. We will find another way. Titi glanced at her. The driver Alo's eyes lifted slowly. You are the person facing police, yet you are protecting me. I know what fear feels like. The radio outside crackled. A mechanic laughed. Somewhere behind the wall, a generator started. The driver removed his cap. I will give a statement, he said. But my name must stay out of the media. Titi nodded. We can work with that. The thread became rope. Over the next 3 weeks, the evidence began to connect. The forensic team recovered fragments of the deleted Lekki Crown security footage. Not the entire 19 minutes, but enough to show Bodhi taking control of Sade Alo's bag before the envelope appeared. The pharmacy camera showed a dispatch rider entering her compound with a carton. Company records showed that the rider had been assigned to Bode Alo's office that morning, though the dispatch firm initially denied it. Mobile records placed the rider near Saad Alo's compound at 11:27. Call logs showed Bode Alo's office contacting her laundry contractor before her dismissal. The freight invoices led to a transport company registered to Ronke Alo's cousin. Procurement records showed unusually high delivery charges for routes that had been shortened, not extended. Most damaging of all, the independent audit found that relief stock had repeatedly entered commercial inventory under altered batch codes. The corruption was not one dramatic theft. It was a habit, small enough each day to appear like error, large enough over 9 months to become 38,617,000 naira in missing or unverified value. Ronke sensed pressure before she saw evidence. 2 internal accountants stopped returning her calls. A systems administrator asked unusual questions about archived footage. An external law firm requested raw delivery data without passing through her office. She called Bodhi into her office at 8:10 Monday morning. He closed the glass door. "What have you heard?" she asked. "Nothing direct." Nothing is not an answer. The central team copied warehouse logs. When? Last week. Who authorized it? They said routine continuity testing. Ronke stood from behind her desk. Routine work does not happen quietly. Bode loosened his red tie. Maybe the chairman requested an audit. Nii is in Dubai. That is what his office said. Ronke walked to the window. Below, the Victoria Island Road moved between towers. She had worked 18 years to enter rooms where people once asked whose assistant she was. She had learned to wear power before she fully possessed it. She had learned that wealthy people forgave waste more easily than embarrassment. So she protected appearances first. The relief diversion had started as a temporary adjustment. 1 truck redirected to cover a commercial shortage. 1 invoice padded to compensate a friendly vendor. 1 list altered because the public event needed bigger numbers. Then the system became profitable. Once money entered, loyalty followed. Drivers were paid. Security was rewarded. Contractors stayed silent, and people like Sade were removed. Ronke turned. The National Human Dignity Summit is in 6 weeks. Bode nodded. They confirmed your award. That event must proceed. If there is an audit, that event must proceed, she repeated. Once I stand on that stage beside investors, nobody will believe one dismissed warehouse woman over me. Bode Alo's face remained uncertain. Ronke saw it. Do not start shaking now. You planted the watch correctly. The pharmacy camera may have caught the rider. Then the rider was delivering medicine. The company log can be corrected. Central already copied it. For the first time, Ronke Alo's confidence cracked. Only for a second. Then it returned. Find out who is speaking. And prepare a full security incident report against Sade. Make her look unstable, aggressive, obsessed with the company. What about the driver? Which driver? The one who left last year. He kept copies. Ronke Alo's eyes narrowed. Then make sure his new employer understands that confidentiality matters. Bode did not answer. Hope no problem? She asked. No problem, Ma. But there was. Plenty. Saad did not know the full scale of the audit. Titi told her only what was necessary. Evidence had to remain controlled, and witnesses needed protection. That did not make waiting easier. Her police file remained open. Employers still rejected her. The hostel bed was temporary. She had missed 2 accounting classes because she could not afford transport. One Tuesday afternoon, she returned to the school, to ask whether her registration could be deferred. The administrator searched her name on the computer. You owe 2 installments. I know, I am asking for 4 weeks. The examination list closes Friday. I have attended 7 months. Rules are rules. Sadie placed both hands on the counter. Can I write the exam and hold the certificate until I pay? The administrator shook her head. No clearance, no exam. Sade walked outside with her course manual pressed against her chest. Rain clouds gathered over Yaba again. For a moment, she stood beside the school gate and felt something inside her surrender. Not loudly. Surrender was often quiet. It sounded like enough. She could stop the complaint. Sign a statement. Take whatever settlement remained. Find a room outside the area. Change her name on applications. Leave Lagos if necessary. What had Truth given her? An empty purse. A hostel bed. A police file. A bent course manual. She sat on a low wall beside the road. Titi found her there 20 minutes later. The lawyer had come to collect a signature. Instead, she sat beside Sade without speaking. Vehicles splashed through shallow water. Students passed with umbrellas. A plantain seller covered her tray with nylon. Finally, Sade said, "Maybe poor people survive longer when they learn to see wrong and keep quiet." Titi did not rush to correct her. She opened her bag and removed a printed list. "Read the first address." Saad frowned. "What is this?" "Read it." Saad looked down. "Number 14, Alad Close, Mushin." "Does it exist?" "No. That street ends at number 9. Next, 42 Abiola Lane. Who signed there?" Sade read the name. "I remember this one. It appeared on 4 distribution sheets." Titi turned the page. There are 87 beneficiary names linked to false or repeated addresses. Those names were used to claim food had been delivered. Saad remained silent. Titi continued. "You are not fighting because truth gives quick rewards. It rarely does. You are fighting because silence also has a price and somebody weaker usually pays it." Sade looked at the list. "What if we lose? Then we lose with the evidence preserved. Another person can continue. And if they destroy my life before that?" Titialo's voice softened. "Then we rebuild the part they touched. But do not give them your own agreement that you deserved it." Said closed her eyes. The road noise moved around them. She thought of the grandmother waiting on the bucket, the hungry man outside Lecky Crown, the woman who had placed bananas on the community table when everybody else stood back. She opened her eyes. "I will not sign." Titi nodded once. "Good." There was no applause, no music, just a decision made on a wet roadside. Sometimes that was where courage lived. Nii watched Sade Alo's struggle from a distance and hated the distance more each day. He paid the external law firm. He approved witness protection expenses. He ordered the audit team to move faster. But he did not pay Sade secretly. Because Titi warned through an intermediary that unexplained money could damage her credibility. He could solve her school fees with less than he spent on one business lunch. He did not. For perhaps the first time in his life, money could not be used without consequences. Instead, the Legal Aid Center helped Sade apply for an emergency education grant available to workers in active employment disputes. The application required documents, references, and proof of attendance. It took 12 days. When it was approved, Saad sat in Titi Alo's office and stared at the letter. "So I can write the exam?" "Yes." "Who paid the fund?" "Not that man Alo's mysterious friend." Titi raised an eyebrow. "What man?" Sade shook her head. "Never mind." She still had not seen Nii since the clinic. Then, 2 weeks before the National Human Dignity Summit, he appeared at the community table. The grey-brown kaftan looked cleaner. His beard was trimmed. His knee had healed. Sade watched him approach. "You disappeared. I had things to settle." With your friend? Yes. Have you started eating properly? Yes. Good. She turned back to the bread count. Nii stood beside the table. I owe you an explanation. Sade Alo's hand stopped. Then explain. He looked at the traders nearby, at the people waiting, at Musa Alao's vehicle parked across the road, at the envelope of audit findings locked inside his office. I cannot tell you everything today. Sade laughed without amusement. Then you did not come to explain. You came to announce that an explanation exists. That is fair. No, it is not. Her voice remained low, but anger sharpened every word. You asked about my documents. You knew about my work. Your friend arrived at the clinic in 17 minutes. You have money when you need it, and rags when you want them. I am not stupid. I know. Do you? Yes. Are you police? No. Journalist? No. Company investigator? He paused. Not exactly. Sade stepped closer. Are you connected to Balogun Group? Nii held her gaze. Musa Alo's voice came through the earpiece. Sir, one word. A warning. Nii answered carefully. Yes. Sade Alo's face changed. How? I cannot say yet. She stepped back as if he had touched her. You used me. No. You allowed me to think you had nowhere to sleep. I did not ask you for money. That is worse. You watched me give what I did not have. I did not know it was your last money. You knew enough to ask. The exact words Musa had used returned to him. Nii lowered his head. You are right. Sade Alo's eyes filled, but she refused to let the tears fall. Was my kindness an experiment? No. Then what was it? I went there to inspect how the program treated people. I did not know you. I did not know you had records. Afterward, I needed to understand what you had seen. So you lied. Yes. The answer was direct. It did not make the lie smaller. Sade folded the record sheet and placed it beneath the table. Leave. Nobody is asking you to withdraw your case. I said leave. The evidence is being protected. Her eyes flashed. Protected by who? I cannot say. Then take your secret protection and go. Nii stood still for 1 second longer. I am sorry. Sade Alo's voice dropped. Sorry is what powerful people say when they want the injured person to become comfortable before the truth arrives. He had no defense. He turned and walked away. Musa opened the car door. Nii entered without speaking. After several minutes, he said, She may refuse to attend the summit. She has the right. She needs to hear the evidence. She needs her name cleared whether she attends or not. Nii looked out the window. You think I handled it badly? I think she handled it accurately. Nii nodded. That night, Sade told Titi everything. The lawyer listened without interrupting. You think he works for the company? Titi asked. He said he is connected. Did he threaten you? Offer money? No. Ask for documents? Not directly after the first day. Titi considered this. Do you want to withdraw from the summit? Sade looked up. What summit? Titi opened a cream envelope. The National Human Dignity Summit was scheduled for the following Friday at a conference center in Victoria Island. The event would include investors, board members, civil society organizations, press, and beneficiaries. Ronka Daniels would receive a Corporate Humanitarian Leadership Award. Sade read the invitation twice. Why am I invited? The Independent Audit Committee requested your testimony during a closed accountability session attached to the event. They may also issue a public correction concerning the theft allegation. Sade Alo's fingers tightened on the paper. Ronko will be there? Yes. Bode? Yes. And this mysterious Nii, I do not know. Sad placed the invitation on the desk. I do not want to stand in front of those people again. You do not have to. They recorded me like an animal. I know. They laughed. I know. What if they laugh again? Titi leaned back. Then, this time, the evidence will have a microphone. The sentence stayed with Sade. For 6 days, she carried the invitation inside her course manual. She almost tore it twice. On Thursday night, she laid out her burnt orange dress on the hostel bed. It was the only formal dress she owned. She washed the pale turquoise scarf and ironed it beneath a towel because the hostel iron left brown marks. One of the women in the room looked at her clothes. "You are going for interview?" "No." "Wedding?" "No." "Then where?" Sade folded the scarf to collect my name. The next morning, Ronka Daniels stood backstage at the Victoria Island Conference Center, wearing an emerald green dress and gold jewelry. The hall beyond the curtain held more than 300 guests. A giant screen displayed photographs of relief distributions. Camera lights moved across the stage. Boxes branded with Dignity Basket logos were arranged beside the podium. Ronka checked her reflection. Perfect. Bode entered through the side door. His navy suit looked tight around his shoulders. "Sade is here," he said. Ronki Alo's hand stopped near her earring. "Where?" "On back row. With the lawyer who allowed her inside. Her name is on the audit committee list." Ronki turned. "What audit committee?" Bode looked pale, the external team. "They have a session after the award." "After?" "Yes." Ronka smiled slowly. "Good." Bode stared at her. "Good? She wants a public fight. I will give her a public burial." "Madam, I do not think. That has always been your weakness, Bode. You start thinking when confidence is required." She picked up her award speech. "Make sure security knows she is under investigation for theft. The police have not charged her. Bo, the audience does not know the difference." Bode Alo's mouth tightened. Ronki walked toward the stage. "Once I finish speaking, remove her." In the back row, Sade sat beside Titi, with her hands clasped over the orange fabric of her dress. The hall glittered, white flowers, gold lights, crystal glasses, screens taller than the walls of her former room. Every detail reminded her that this space had been designed for people who never worried about transport fare. On stage, a video began. Ronka appeared on the screen, hugging women beside stacks of food. A narrator praised Dignity Basket for serving more than 60,000 households. Sade recognized one location. The video showed 3 rows of cartons. She remembered that only 12 had contained food. The rest were empty display boxes. Applause filled the hall. Sade felt sick. Titi leaned closer. "Look at me." Sade did. "You are not here to beg them to believe you. The records exist whether they clap or not." Sade nodded. Ronke stepped onto the stage. Her emerald dress shone under the lights. "Dignity," she began, "is the first meal every human being deserves." Sade Ilo's jaw tightened. Ronka spoke for 12 minutes about compassion, transparency, and social responsibility. She thanked the board. She thanked donors. She thanked frontline workers without naming one. Then the award presenter lifted a glass trophy. At that moment, Ronke looked toward the back row. She saw Sade. Their eyes met. Ronke stopped smiling. The pause lasted only a second, but the room felt it. She raised one hand. "Before I accept this recognition," she said, "I must address an unfortunate matter." Titi straightened. Sade Alo's heartbeat thundered. Ronki pointed toward the back. "There is a woman in this hall who was recently caught with stolen charity funds and property belonging to this organization Alo's leadership." Hundreds of heads turned. Phones lifted. Again, the same movement, the same hungry cameras. Sade Alo's body remembered before her mind did. Her hands began to shake. Ronke continued. "She has now entered this event under the cover of legal activism to attack the very program she tried to steal from." Bode moved down the aisle with 2 security officers. Titi stood. "My client has not been charged with any offense." Ronki spread her hands. "Then perhaps she can explain why my watch was found in her room." Murmurs moved across the hall. Sade rose slowly. Her orange dress burned against the sea of dark suits. "I can explain," she said. Her voice was not loud enough. Ronke leaned toward the microphone. "Speak up." Theft was bold. "Let your explanation be bold, too." Bode reached their row. "Madam, you need to leave." Titi stepped between him and Sade. "Do not touch her. This is a private event. She is an invited witness." "Not anymore." He reached for Sade Alo's arm. Then the main doors opened. No announcement came first, no music. Only the firm sound of shoes crossing marble. The audience turned. Niyi Balagun entered wearing a bright cobalt blue suit, a white shirt and a silver tie. Musa walked 2 steps behind him. 3 members of the external audit team followed with sealed folders. The chairman Alo's face appeared on the giant screen as the event cameras swung toward him. Ronk froze. The glass trophy slipped from the presenter Alo's hand. It struck the carpeted stage and rolled without breaking. Sade stared at the man walking down the center aisle. The clothes were different. The beard was gone. The shoulders were straight, but the eyes were the same. Niyi, the hungry man, the ragged stranger, the man she had given her last money. One of Africa Alo's richest industrialists stopped beside her row. For a breath, nobody moved. Niyi looked at Sade. She did not smile. He did not expect her to. Then he turned toward Bode. "Remove your hand from her." Bode stepped back as if burned. Niyi continued toward the stage. Ronke gripped the podium. "Sir, we were not informed you had returned." "I know." Her lips parted. Niyi climbed the steps and stood beneath the words Human Dignity Summit. He looked at the audience, then at the relief cartons arranged for cameras. Finally, he looked at Ronke. "The woman you called a thief gave dignity to a man your charity program treated like rubbish." The hall stopped breathing. Niyi lifted one hand and pointed to himself. "That man was me." The silence that followed was so complete that the soft hum of the air conditioning became loud. Ronka Alo's fingers tightened around the podium. "No," she whispered. Niyi heard her. So did the microphone. The word traveled through the hall. No, not because she doubted his identity. Because she understood what it meant. The man she had ordered guards to drag from the entrance owned the program, the supermarket, the conference hall contract, and the chair she had been sitting on backstage. The ragged man had watched her close the food line early. He had heard her call poor people roadside decoration. He had seen the envelope appear inside Sade Ilo's bag. Every polished lie had met its witness. Ronke forced a smile. "Sir, there has clearly been a misunderstanding. Security did not recognize you." Niyi looked at her. "Security recognized hunger." She swallowed, and chose to punish it. Nobody clapped, nobody moved. Niyi turned toward the audience. "I went to Lekki Crown without notice, because I received evidence that Dignity Basket had become a performance for cameras and a business opportunity for people entrusted with relief goods." Murmurs rose. Ronke stepped away from the podium. "Sir, with respect, anonymous allegations should not be discussed before investors. Neither should unverified accusations against a poor woman." Sade stood at the back, still shaking. Niyi Alo's eyes found her. "You called her a thief before investigation. You caused an edited video to be released. Her employer dismissed her before sunrise. A watch was later planted in her room." Ronke Ilo's face changed. "That is a serious allegation." "Yes." "Then where is your proof?" Niyi nodded toward Musa. "Bring it." The giant screen went black. For 2 seconds, the hall saw its own reflection in the dark glass. Then camera 4 appeared. The date and time code sat in the upper corner, 5:41:18 p.m. The recovered footage was grainy. Part of the image flickered, but the angle was clear enough. Sade stood near the entrance with her canvas bag hanging open from one shoulder. Bode moved behind her while Ronke faced the guests. His hand disappeared into the bag for less than 2 seconds. At 5:42:06, he grabbed the strap and pulled it away. At 5:42:13, he removed the donation envelope. A sound moved through the room. Not applause. Shock. Bode Allo's face emptied. Ronk looked at him. He looked back at her. That one glance told the audience more than denial could repair. Bode stepped toward the side exit. Musa blocked the path. "You are not under arrest," Musa said calmly. "But your system access has been suspended, and company security requires you to remain available for formal questioning." Bode looked toward Ronke. She turned away from him. The screen changed. A pharmacy camera showed the entrance to Sadalo's compound. 11:27:04 a.m. A dispatch rider entered carrying a carton. 11:35:19 a.m. He left without it. A second image showed the dispatch assignment record. The request originated from Bodhi Ilo's office. The delivery description had first been entered as documents, then changed to medicine 11 minutes after police found the watch. TT looked at Sade. "Chain of evidence," she whispered. Sade could not speak. The screen changed again. Freight invoices appeared beside warehouse logs. Red lines connected shipment numbers to altered destinations. Photographs showed bags marked for relief inside commercial storage rooms. Timestamps matched the driver Ailalo's statements. Batch numbers reappeared in retail inventory 2 days after they had supposedly been distributed free. An auditor took the microphone. "Over a 9-month period, we identified 11,407 relief units that were either diverted, relabeled, or unsupported by valid beneficiary records. The value currently unverified is 38,617,000 naira." The audience erupted. Questions flew from journalists. Board members leaned toward one another. Investors checked phones. The award presenter quietly placed the glass trophy on the floor and stepped away from Ronke. Ronke raised both hands. "Those figures are preliminary. Operational errors happen in every large program." The auditor remained calm. Operational errors do not create repeated beneficiary signatures at addresses that do not exist. The screen displayed 20 forms. The same signature appeared again and again. Ronke pointed at Bode. "Security handled beneficiary verification." Bode Ilo's head snapped toward her. "You approved the routes." Her face hardened. "Be careful. You told me to remove the camera footage." The words escaped before he could stop them. A microphone near the aisle caught enough. The hall exploded again. Ronke stared at him with pure hatred. Bode realized what he had done and closed his mouth. Too late. Nii did not smile. He did not enjoy the collapse. That surprised him. For weeks, he had imagined this moment as satisfaction. Instead, he felt only the weight of how long the damage had existed beneath his name. Ronke returned to the podium. "Sir, this woman manipulated you." She pointed at Sade. "She created a story around your disguise. She kept confidential records. She has been obsessed with this organization for 2 years." Sad flinched when all eyes turned again. Nii did not answer for her. He looked toward the back row. "Nah, Said Koka, do you want to respond?" The microphone attendant approached her. Sade stared at it. Her first instinct was to refuse. Her second was to run. The hall was too bright. The cameras were too familiar. Titi touched her hand. "You do not owe them a performance." Sade looked at Ronke. Then at the false beneficiary forms on the screen. She took the microphone. "I did not keep the documents because I wanted this stage," she said. Her voice trembled on the first sentence. Then it steadied. "I kept them because I was asked to sign quantities that did not arrive. When I refused, my contract ended. I sent reports. Nobody answered. I carried copies because the numbers were the only witnesses that could not be frightened. The hall quieted again. Sad continued. At Lecky Crown, I gave money to a hungry man. I did not know he was Mr. Balagan. If he had remained poor, what happened to him would still have been wrong. Several people lowered their phones. I am not innocent because the beggar turned out to be rich. I was innocent before that. He was worthy of respect before that, and the people whose food disappeared were worthy before any chairman entered this hall. Her fingers tightened around the microphone. Ronka opened her mouth. Sad lifted one hand. I am not finished, Ma. The words landed with quiet force. Ronki froze. Sade faced the audience. You posted my face before investigation. You called me a thief because you believed poverty had already made the verdict believable. You thought nobody would ask how the envelope entered my bag. You thought a cheap lock, a small room, and an unpaid worker were enough to manufacture guilt. She looked directly at Bode. You were almost right. Bode lowered his eyes. Almost. Sade handed the microphone back. The applause began from the rear of the hall. Not loud at first. One person. Then another. Within seconds, the entire room was standing. Sade did not smile. She closed her eyes for one breath. Her name had returned. Niyi waited for the applause to stop. Then he addressed the board. The External Audit Committee has recommended immediate suspension of Ronke Daniels and Bode Adebayo pending formal disciplinary and legal proceedings. Their access to all company systems and facilities is terminated as of this moment. Ronke laughed sharply. You cannot make that decision alone. You are correct. Ni turned toward the front row. The board received the evidence 48 hours ago. One by one, board members raised their hands. The vote had already been taken. Ronka Alo's face collapsed. Niyi continued. The company will refer the complete file to the appropriate investigating authorities. We will also begin civil recovery proceedings for losses supported by evidence. No person will be declared guilty on this stage. That decision belongs to due process. He paused. But no person will continue using this company Elo's power to obstruct that process. Musa approached Ronke and requested her access badge. She held it against her chest. For a moment, she looked less like a powerful executive and more like a frightened woman standing inside the machinery she had built. Then anger returned. Oh, you are destroying me because of one warehouse girl. Niyi Alo's expression hardened. No, your choices are meeting their records. Ronke removed the badge and dropped it on the stage. It bounced once. The sound was small. The meaning was not. Bode surrendered his badge without speaking. Niyi turned back to the audience. This company owes more than suspensions. He looked at the banners carrying his surname. I approved annual reports without demanding raw evidence. I accepted awards based on summaries prepared by the same office now under investigation. I visited distribution centers only when cameras were expected. I allowed generosity to become branding and assumed money donated was dignity delivered. A board member shifted uncomfortably. Niyi continued. That failure belongs to leadership. It belongs to me. The room remained silent. We will publish corrected distribution figures. We will compensate workers dismissed or blacklisted for protected reporting. We will create independent community oversight. We will prohibit the use of beneficiary images without informed consent. And every relief unit will be traceable from warehouse to recipient. He looked at Sade. Ms. Coker, I apologize for the harm done under my authority. Sade met his eyes. She did not say, it is okay. It was not okay. She nodded once to acknowledge the apology. That was all. After the event, journalist Bass crowded the corridor. Titi kept Sade between herself and a wall, refusing questions that could interfere with the investigation. Ni approached, holding a cream envelope. Sade looked at it and almost laughed. Another envelope? He understood immediately. His face tightened. This one should have been transparent. Titi took it first. Inside was an offer for a 6-month paid training program in warehouse governance, followed by consideration for a community accountability role. A separate document confirmed interim compensation for unpaid wages, wrongful blacklisting, housing disruption, and legal expenses, subject to independent review. Said read the first page. You expect me to sign now? No, I will take it to my lawyer. You should. And if the terms are unfair, reject them. Said looked at him. The billionaire stood before her in cobalt blue, surrounded by people who moved when he moved. But she no longer saw the ragged man. She saw a powerful man learning that gratitude did not purchase obedience. I am still angry with you, she said. I know, you lied. Yes, you watched me struggle while you knew more than you said. Yes, do not turn my forgiveness into part of your public reform. I will not. Sade folded the papers. Good. Then she walked away with Titi. 8 months passed. The investigation did not move with the speed of gossip. It moved through statements, bank records, forensic reports, hearings, and legal arguments. Ronka denied personal enrichment. Her lawyers described the diversions as emergency inventory transfers. But property records and payment trails connected inflated transport contracts to relatives and associates. A court later ordered the freezing of specific assets while proceedings continued. Bode admitted authorizing the removal of footage and arranging the delivery that placed the watch in Sade Alo's room. His statement did not excuse him. It only clarified the method. The dispatch rider cooperated after receiving legal counsel. The laundry contractor paid Saad Alo's outstanding wages and damages through a mediated settlement. The public video accusing her of theft was removed from official company accounts. A correction appeared on the same pages that had spread the accusation. It did not erase every copy. The internet remembered cruelty longer than apologies. But the record had changed. Sade completed her warehouse accounting course. She passed the final examination with distinction in inventory control and compliance documentation. She also completed the 6-month governance program after Titi reviewed every clause of the contract. She did not become chief executive. She did not move into a mansion. She became community accountability coordinator for the rebuilt Dignity Basket program. Her office was small, her salary was fair, her authority was specific. She could stop a shipment when physical counts did not match. She could request an independent check without seeking approval from operations. She could receive anonymous complaints through a protected system. Every monthly distribution report had to be published in plain language. Most importantly, nobody receiving food was required to pose for a photograph. If you want to show the cartons, show the cartons, Sad told the communications team. A hungry person is not a billboard. The community table in Yaba also continued. It now had a proper roof, washable shelves, temperature boxes, and a daily safety log. The improvements came through a registered partnership, not a secret gift. Local traders remained involved. Food could be donated, but spoiled food was rejected without apology. One afternoon, a restaurant manager brought trays of rice that had been left at room temperature for 7 hours. It still looks good, he argued. Sade closed the container. Then serve it in your restaurant tomorrow. The manager recoiled. God forbid. Sade pointed toward the bin. Exactly. He never brought unsafe food again. Ni visited the new distribution center on the day it opened. This time, there was no red carpet, no imported lilies, no empty display boxes. The building stood near a bus route, so people did not need to spend half their support money reaching it. The waiting area had chairs, drinking water, and a complaint desk. Quantities were displayed on a public board. Received 1,263 units. Distributed 847 units. Balance 416 units. 2 independent workers signed beneath the figures. Niyi arrived in a simple blue suit. Musa walked beside him. Said met them near the storage room, wearing a burnt orange blouse and pale turquoise scarf. "You are 7 minutes late," she said. Niyi checked his watch. "Traffic. This is Lagos. Leave earlier." Musa turned his face away to hide a smile. Niyi handed Sade a small wooden box. She opened it. Inside were 3,850 naira, the same amount. Not framed. Not enlarged, just the money. Said looked at him. "What is this? What I owed you?" "I did not lend it to you." "I remember. Then why return it?" "Because it is not payment for your kindness. Kindness is not a business transaction. I am only returning what I allowed you to spend while I had the means to protect myself." Sade considered the notes. "What if I refuse? Then I will remain in debt." She closed the box. "I will put it into the emergency transport fund." Niyi smiled. "That is your decision." They walked toward the main hall. Near the entrance, a man in dirty clothes had stopped beside the registration desk. His shirt was torn near one shoulder. Dust covered his slippers. He held no documents. A young staff member moved quickly to block him. "Oga, wait outside. We have an opening program." The man stepped back. Said saw it. She crossed the hall. "Why is he outside?" "He is not registered, Ma, and guests are coming." "Is he hungry?" "I do not know." "Did you ask?" "No, Ma." The staff member looked embarrassed. Said turned to the man. "Sir, please sit. He may disturb the program," the worker whispered. Sade looked at him. "Give him a chair first. Questions can wait. Hunger should not." The staff member brought a chair. Another worker offered water. Nobody lifted a phone. Nobody searched the man Alo's bag. Nobody asked whether he might secretly be rich. Niyi stood several steps away and watched. This time he did not need rags to know whether the system had changed. Later, when the crowd had gone and the balance board showed 0, Seda remained inside the quiet hall. She checked the final signatures, closed the food safety log, and switched off the desk lamp. Niyi waited near the door. "You still do not trust reports," he said. "I trust reports that can survive questions. And people." Sade thought for a moment. "I trust people who do not become angry when you verify them." Niyi nodded. "That is fair." They stepped outside. Evening, traffic moved along the road. A bus conductor shouted for passengers. Smoke rose from a roadside grill. Lagos carried on, impatient and alive. Sadie held the small wooden box beneath her arm. "What happened to the award?" she asked. Niyi looked confused. "The glass trophy Ronke was supposed to collect. It remained with the organizers." "Good. Why?" "Because dignity is not an award one person carries home." Niyi looked toward the center behind them. "No," he said. "It is not. What stayed with me was never the fact that the ragged beggar turned out to be an extremely wealthy man. That reveal was dramatic, yes. But it was not the deepest truth. The uncomfortable question is this: would the crowd have regretted their cruelty if he had remained poor? Sade Ailo's kindness did not become correct after Niyi wore a cobalt blue suit. It was correct when he sat on the pavement in dirty clothes. His identity did not create his dignity. It only exposed the people who believed dignity belonged to status. Respect reserved for the powerful is not respect. It is fear wearing good clothes. And kindness should never be treated like a lottery ticket. We should not help a hungry stranger because he may secretly own a company. We help because hunger is real. We speak against injustice because silence sends the bill to somebody weaker. We preserve evidence because truth needs structure, not only anger. We hold leaders responsible because charitable language without accountable systems can become another form of exploitation. Actions return, sometimes as punishment, sometimes as reform, sometimes as one simple chair offered to a man before anybody asks his name.